what's going on with Major League Baseball. The owners, the players can't agree on really anything. And now, coming off of the latest proposal, the players offered the owners a 114-game season. They get paid for their normal salary for 114 games. Owners said, no, thank you. We're not going to do that. Didn't even offer a counter proposal. And now coming out that MLB is thinking about a possible 48-game season. And the question is it even worth it? If you're on Twitter, Ryan_Hickey3, I have a Twitter poll out there asking this question. Is it worth it? Yes, 40 games better than nothing, or no, pack it up. I'll see you in 2021. 48 games is a joke. So let's get your thoughts here. Again, on Twitter, Ryan_Hickey3. Take a vote. We'll give you those results in a little bit here. But I'll give you my thoughts first. Is it even worth it to play a 48-game season? My answer, hell no. Absolutely not. If that's the option, if it's 48 games or nothing, I'll see you in 2021. Don't even bother coming back this year because there's a few reasons why. One, it wouldn't even feel legitimate. I mean, think about it. If you break it down from a percentage-wise, 48 games is just about 30% of the season. That's 29 and some decimal places. We'll just round up nice even 30%. So if we take this number and apply it to the rest of the sports leagues, would you be into an NFL season? If 2020 came about, right, and the NFL could only play 5 regular season games. If the NBA and NHL could only play 24 of their games in their respective schedules instead of 82, what if college football was just 4 games? Would you honestly be into it? Would you honestly get into a regular season if you're a Jets fan, a Giants fan, a 49ers fan, a Bengals fan, a Ravens fan, a Chiefs fan? Could you really get excited, worked up about a schedule or a season, that is 5 games? Then you go to the playoffs, win the Super Bowl? Would you honestly get into it? Because I have a tough time. I would not. I can't get into it. I'm sorry. Playing 30% of the season, it wouldn't feel legitimate. And for that reason, I basically have almost this asterisk or a cloud hanging over my head that anytime something good happens, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden, right after I see it happen, if the Mets win a big game, also next thing you know, it doesn't really count. People aren't going to look back on it and say, oh, this team, whoever wins the World Series, is going to be legit. 82 games. I'm still in on, and I'm still defiant that 82 games would be legitimate, no asterisk needed. Now, if you remember, I did a segment a few weeks ago, and if not, I can easily tell right here. I made the argument that no matter what happened with the NBA, with the NHL, NFL, MLB, there should not be an asterisk on any of those champions, assuming that the NBA and NHL can come back, and they seem to have the ability to come back or have a plan to come back. Whoever the champion is, don't give them an asterisk. If MLB comes back, plays half a season, don't give them an asterisk because it's happened before. 1981, the season was split up to basically 2 halves. This is the only time, think about it, there's only one time in the long, long history of Major League Baseball when the season, was split up into 2 halves to where the team that won the division in the first half was guaranteed the playoffs. The team that won the division in the second half was guaranteed the playoffs. No other team has made the playoffs because they were leading halfway through the season. And in that year, 1981, the Reds had the best overall record, right? When you take the first half of the year, second half of the year, combine it. The Reds had the best record in baseball, but they missed the playoffs. They didn't have the best record in the first half, then the best record in the second half. Dodgers won that year. I don't see an asterisk. I don't see anyone looking at that World Series any differently. 1972, a little bit different here because they still played a majority of games, but teams played an uneven amount of games. And this is why this is important, is because the Detroit Tigers back in 1972 won the division, and they won the division despite them and the Red Sox both having 70 losses. But the reason why the Tigers got in the playoffs is because they played one extra game. They won that game, so their win percentage was higher. Now, the Tigers didn't win the World Series that year, but they made the playoffs because they played 156 games. The Red Sox played 155 games. So there's been examples where weird, quirky stuff has happened, but we look back upon it like a normal title. No one takes away the Dodgers World Series. And if the Tigers won the World Series, no one would take away their World Series. But the 30% of the season, it's different. It would not feel legitimate. And while I made the argument that, if the NBA resumes, if the NHL resumes, and they crown a champion, no matter what the format is, they crown a champion, no asterisk. They played a majority of the regular season. I know it's unprecedented, but even if they had a different playoff format, which they're going to have, the NHL is having a different playoff format, no asterisk. The NBA is going to keep their normal playoff format for the most part, no asterisk. But baseball, I mean, if you play 48 games, guaranteed asterisk. Guaranteed. Played a third of the year. You can't look at that legitimately. And so my thinking is, if that's going to be hanging over, if that's already basically you start day one and you already know hanging over your head, whoever wins, whoever's a great year, it's really not going to, when we look back in history, it's not going to mean much. Do you really want your team to win a World Series that no one will respect? I don't. I'll be completely honest. If the Mets win the World Series in 2020, they play 48 games, play an expanded postseason, they win the World Series. I don't want them to win it. I'm going to root for them to win it. Don't get me wrong. If that's the only championship I'm going to see in my lifetime, I'd like it to be one that people respect. Because guess what? Whoever wins, the Yankees, the Astros, the Dodgers, it's going to be looked upon differently. No one's really going to respect it. You played 48 games. You barely played a third of the season. How can you legitimately look at a World Series champion in a sport that is based on longevity, that is a marathon for a reason, and it's all about consistency through that marathon, peaks and valleys, it's who stays consistent the longest. That's really what it is. It's a battle of attrition. Similar to the NFL. The team that wins the Super Bowl at the end of the year, for the most part, is the most talented, but not only the most talented, the one that stays healthiest. And usually if your good players are healthy, that means you're going to be the more talented team. It's a war. Especially baseball, it's a marathon, it's a grind, it's grueling, it's supposed to be that way. To play 50 games, I understand every game would be intense, every game would be almost, worth 3, to where if you have a 3-game winning streak, it's almost like a 10-game winning streak in a season that's so short like this. But I don't see how anyone's going to respect the title. No one's going to really look upon the World Series as legitimate. It's going to be a joke. It's going to be laughed at. So no thanks. I don't want any part of it. Just pack it up. I'll see you in 2021. Play a full 162. Probably lose a ton of your fan base doing so. But at least that will be legit. Just think about it. If there's an ERA record, guy bats 450, batting title, pitcher, has a sub-1 ERA, just sets records because of the season so short. They had 8 or 9 good starts, or a player had, 2 or 3 weeks where he was red hot, and guess what? Those 2 or 3 weeks are magnified because the season's so short. Those records aren't legit. You can't in good faith say, someone who batted 500 is the new batting title, is the new batting champion. So if you see that's already going to be a sham, where people won't respect the records, won't respect whoever wins the World Series, honestly, I'm good with no baseball. I don't want to have a season that's where it's constantly hanging over my head. I know this doesn't count, this doesn't matter. And again, sure, winning the division in 2020 would be great. But you look back upon it, okay, you won the division when you won 30 games. Big deal. 50 games through the year, the Nationals were 19-31. They were dead in the water, and they turned it around because the season's a marathon, it's a grind, and credit to them for turning it around. Could you imagine if the 2019 season, how they started that year, or was a coronavirus shortened season? I understand there's obviously a pandemic going on. I understand there's circumstances that are changing and changing the reason for a shortened season. But I'm not trying to watch baseball that doesn't really matter. Doesn't really count. And not to mention, as we're starting to open up, Long Island's entering phase 2 this week. New York City today is entering phase 1. Things are starting to open up. Things are starting to come back. We're going to have a summer to where now, you know what? I understand there's no sports, and the NBA and NHL both trying to come back end of July, early August. So there's still another almost 2-month gap for live sports coming back. I'll be honest, there's enough distractions. I'll make it. At this point, if we made it this far, with restrictions being lifted, if you're able to go to the beach, if you're able to go back to your favorite restaurant, maybe you can go to a bar that's, half capacity. There's enough distractions now to where, you know what? I don't have to be glued. I'm not stuck at home every single night. I'm not actively looking for a distraction. There would be a baseball game. And this is coming from someone, I am a huge baseball fan. That and football, my 2 favorite sports to watch. Huge baseball fan, huge Mets fan. So I'm not a person who's already on the fence about baseball. Nothing I want more. The Mets are my favorite team in my life. But I'll be honest, 50 games I can't take seriously. And because I can't take it seriously, I don't want to watch a season that's going to be a sham. I don't want the Mets. That's my biggest fear. The Mets win the World Series. No one looks at it. No one cares. And now you're a laughing stock, or you're the butt of a joke because you're trying to claim it as legit. When everyone else, all the 29 other teams, fan bases, and the country knows. And you're in the World Series, but they played 50 games. Big deal. And I'll say this. This is my final reason why, honestly, I'd rather just wait till 2021 to have a 50-game regular season. I'll be honest, I've been following these negotiations. A lot of it has been leaked through the media more than normal. So we've really, as fans, been on, inside the war room, per se, seeing the negotiations, seeing the thought processes. I mean, I'm exhausted. It's grueling. These two are so far away. And you've heard me say, I am staunchly on the side of the players. I'm not changing that. I think the owners are making a lot of money. I think the owners are crying poor, and they are trying to bully the players into more pay cuts so they could save more money. They could put more money in their pockets instead of doing what's good for America, what's good for the game, to grow the game. They are all about how can I make as much money right now. So I think the owners are selfish. I think they're short-sighted. But to be honest, just to see and hear how far apart these two sides are, day in and day out, hear how entrenched they are on their side. The players aren't budging. The owners aren't budging. I've lost faith by the day, to be completely honest. And right now, it's to the point where 50 games, to me, is the breaking point. I'm done. If you can't agree, if you want to prorate the salary and the players want to prorate the salary and the owners do it, but they're going to say, all right, we'll do it in a short amount of games, just save us more money, I'm out. So I'd love to get your thoughts on Twitter here at Ryan_Hickey and number 3 to see where you feel about baseball. We'll get you the poll results right here. People do not feel the way I do. So I put the poll out. Would you rather see a 48-game MLB season or pack up shop and not play baseball until 2021? I'm on the side. If it's going to be 48 games, I'll see you next year. Don't even bother. Wouldn't be viewed as legitimate. And if I can't get into something that's not legitimate, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't get into a season that it's going to be viewed as a sham by whoever wins. And I can't get into it knowing that, hey, this is great in the short term, big win, but guess what? In the grand scheme of things, in the end, it's not going to matter. So far, 64% of you say 48 games is better than none. 36% say I'll see you in 2021. If you want to vote, again, Ryan_Hickey, the number 3. Would you rather see a 48-game MLB season or pack up shop and not play until 2021? We'll get your results throughout the show. We'll definitely, before we get out of here, give you the final results. But so far, most of you are against what I'm saying. Most of you will take 48 games better than nothing. But I personally can't, when it's not legitimate, I can't view it as real. And for that reason, I just can't get into a season that wouldn't be real.